Good morning. We've got quite the day here today. We've got Nasdaq trying to make back some ground. Not doing a hell of a job. Only up about 0.25%. S&P's actually more volatile than Nasdaq here today. That hasn't been the case very often lately. Up 0.66%. Oil sliding again. 4.5% downside. Oil cannot catch a break. Gold down 2.6. Amazon, kind of the biggest name as far as, the big names here today, tech-wise, up over 3%. Nvidia here, up 0.25%, and AMD still can't catch a break, down 0.7. We have Micron earnings, by the way, here today. So keeping an eye on that, currently down 1.8%. As always, watching SpaceX, which is up 1.4%. You know what's interesting? SpaceX has taken a slide down the most active equities list. For the first, I'd say 4 or 5 days, well, maybe 3 or 4 days of trading at least, it was number one, if not number two, as far as volume of shares traded, which, this is as expected. But SpaceX is not a particularly cheap stock. Mid to high hundreds, low 200s for a period of time, price-wise per share, right? So to trade that many shares that it's beating out stocks that are $8, $7 a share, that was tremendous. Well, right now we're seeing that thing slide down. As far as most active equities, we're maybe 9th on the list here today. We've got SoFi ahead of it. BITO, ticker WEN, is actually the leading most active equity here today. So we'll keep an eye on all those. Of course, this is Nasdaq Futures. You're looking at a 5-minute chart. Good morning. How are we? Javaz, good morning. How we doing? Gamma Futures, stocks, whatever's moving, baby. All of it. All of it. This is Nasdaq Futures right in front of you right now. Big bar 24. We've got a minute 55 out. So here on Nasdaq, my question becomes, are we rolling over? Or are we going to bounce around up in this region and just form a big old range? This is very early, I think, to call it a big range, unless you're looking at the whole day's range. But 23 was giving me hope when I saw that guy close up for a rollover. Even after 21, 22, it's like, all right, let's watch 24, get a nice clean bare body, short that thing, get about 400 points, right? Well, here we are a minute out till the close of Big Bar 24 on NQ, again, Nasdaq Futures, and it's a moderately sized bar, including those wicks, and we're going to close up most likely here as a bull body, which is not what I was after here on NQ. That's all right as far as getting a setup. So I'll keep an eye on that. Again, Micron, very interesting here today. A lot of times stocks like this will, they'll look like they're going to do some work as far as downside potential. And then it'll just basically range coming into earnings here on Micron. Again, sitting minus 1.2% on the day here for Micron. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. That one is, the day of earnings, stocks can go what I'll call in play, or what I do call in play, earlier. But as you get into the afternoon, I think a lot of, institutions kind of have their mind made up as far as how to position themselves, and it gets a little bit harder to actively trade them intraday. So keeping an eye on all of it. Whole bunch going on here. So the range from bar 21 until now, bar 25 here on NQ, we're over 100 points. So I'll watch how 25 closes up. Keeping an eye on this guy as a potential trading range. Obviously, you have the whole day to look at as well as far as a big giant range. About 300 plus points wide. ATR on NQ sitting 77, 78 right now. Here on a 5-minute. So, you look at SpaceX's chart, and it's really easy to look at this and start thinking soft bull channel, right? I see it too. My issue with this is the move higher above this wick high here that starts making it look more like that. We didn't even get a close above that previous wick high. So I'm going to hold off on SpaceX currently, watch NQ, and I want to see how that thing develops more. If we can get another move higher up through like 159, even 160, get a close or two above those regions, I'm more sold on it being a soft bull channel rather than just a big giant trading range after a bullish move off the open. Obviously, we had that bearish dip off the rip here and then pushed higher. We may just enter a sideways range here, and I don't want to be involved if that's the case. All right, NQ, halfway through bar 25, 2.5 minutes out. All right, 60 seconds here till the close up. Big bar 25. And you can see it's like these bulls want to take this thing higher, but they're having so much trouble doing so. Old Nasdaq's up less than 0.5% here today. SpaceX still trying to grind this thing higher, up 1.4%. Again, I am watching this. We'll see if this can form a soft bull channel. Right now, I don't have a lot of faith that it's going to. I imagine we're probably going to see a sideways range here. But if we can crack the wick high between 159 and 160-ish, mid 159s gives me a lot more faith. All right, Nasdaq here. I would much prefer to see this guy continue to roll over, get down beneath the wick low of 24, give me a clean bear close, and I've got a beauty. Just a beauty of a ram continuation short downside. Low at day, you've got the wick low of 11 here, down around 29.5 and a quarter. By the way, just a heads up, we're seeing some activity, some volume here on the $35 calls for August on Kinder Morgan, believe it or not, ticker KMI. All right, bar 26, 357 out here on NQ. Well, what's up with you guys so far today? How we doing? How we doing? I know Nasdaq here, bars basically 1 through 9. Not too much going on. A little bit of opportunity from 11 to 18. But a lot of inside closes we've been seeing. You know, bar 13. Probably the most reasonable setup here of the day, realistically. I'm grabbing a long here on Apple as we head up into this bull trend up into $300 a share. All right, bar 26, minute 44 out. Nasdaq here trying to roll over. Big bar 26. 45 seconds. See if it can. All right, we got 26 rolling over into 27 here. 17 seconds out. Let this guy roll over. I like that. Now I got to watch bar 27. Come on, give me a close below 25. You see this? This bear insecurity? Garbage. Terrible. Garbage. I want to see bear confidence. We got a big sideways range here right around the 20 EMA on NQ. NQ trying to roll. We'll see if it can. We got to get away from this sideways range. ATR on NQ is still 74.75, which is great. SpaceX here trying to crack the high, that wick high in the mid 159s. See if it can. That would maintain more of a soft bull channel rather than a sideways range, which is what I need in order to be interested here on SpaceX. Nasdaq, there we go. There we go. Let's crack this thing beneath the wick low of 24. Right here, of course. Couple of bars, most likely that'll take 3 minutes out here on bar 27. All right. Halfway to the close here on 27. You know, this is not an incredibly developed sideways range, but it's a little more developed than I like, I gotta tell you, since bar 21. It's an interesting situation, though, that's for sure. We've got ATR here, 77. Range on this bar still below the ATR. All right, bar 27 here on NQ, trying to come into the low of 24. Now, in a situation like this, range on this bar is coming into a full ATR. Even to get, crack the wick low 24 and close beneath it, it ends up closing barely outside of it. And with this kind of development from bar 21 into 27, I would really need to wait for 28. All right. Okay. 4 minutes out. 28 is looking promising. I like bar 28. ATR hanging up in the 70s. That's crazy. That's something else on the ATR. This time of day at ATR on NQ, the 5-minute chart here of 73, 74. It's a very good ATR. You just got to get the price action to go with it. So I'm watching the wick low bar 24 here. I'd much prefer to see 28 close a bit lower than just like a point or two. Otherwise, for me, there's way too much risk of a big sideways range. You see that the bull's already coming back in, wicking it higher. There you go, Bears. Okay, 2 minutes. What I'm looking for here, I would like to see 28 close beneath the wick low at 24. Again, more than a point or two, ideally. It doesn't have to be 40 points, though. That would make that bar relatively outsized, most likely. Now, probability-wise, as far as the bears being able to do so, I don't know, man. I think we're looking probably at a sideways range. These bulls wicking us right back higher. There's a lot of insecurity here on the bear side, rolling us actually over, getting down through. I don't even want to call it the 50% retracement point, because it's not like this move was the strongest, craziest move in the world. But it's all going to come down to this close here, minute 20 out. Bears! You bunch of babies! Trading range. This is a trading range. You want to take a bunch of trades in there? Enjoy. Don't come crying to chat when you blow all your accounts. This right here, this is the toughest environment to find any kind of reasonable, consistent edge. And yet everyone loves to trade it. Because it feels safe, it feels low volatility, it feels like you can just buy low, sell high. That's the problem. Isn't logic, the problem is stop selection. Those bears, bunch of teddy bears, that's right. Alright, 3.5 minutes here on bar 28. Well, we've got Apple here trying to make that run up toward 300 bucks a share. See if they can. Now, my biggest concern on a trade like this, I just don't want to see this guy turn into a big sideways range. And this bar here has me thinking that. But I need more evidence that that's going to be the case. We'll manage it as it goes. Or I will manage as it goes. All right, 2 minutes out. Bar 29 back to Nasdaq futures here, NQ. Apple trying to crack up into the 299.60s. And Q testing the upper third of the sideways range we've been forming since bar 21. Question, they say, I feel like you used to trade the range more. Is that accurate? Have you changed your style a little, or is it just my perception or changing market conditions? RAM has not changed. RAM has not changed. There's nuance in RAM. That's what's going on. Good question. This is a sideways range. You guys have seen me trade a lot of what I would refer to as in the umbrella term of ranges, but they're not sideways ranges, at least not tighter sideways ranges. Points in width wise compared to the ATR, if that makes sense. They're soft is what I meant to tell you. Bull and bear channels. And that is what you've seen me trade more of the range. This is not a soft bull or bear channel. This is a big sideways range. And I hate sideways ranges. They are the toughest place in the market to find any kind of reasonable, repeatable edge. A sideways range is the most densely populated graveyard for traders, especially when it's tight. So width-wise, if you kind of split the difference here, we're looking at about a 100-point wide trading range. ATR is 69, approaching 70. Actually, just recently dipping below 70 from the low 70s on the average true range. So that's tight. You know, the width of the range, you have to compare it to the volatility on the day, which I use ATR to do that. Currently 71, that red number, bottom right of your screen. Or bottom right of the chart on your screen. You know, a 100-point wide range can be considered wide in a low volatility environment, or if it's an incredibly high volatility environment, ATR is 115, and you have a 100-point wide range. That's tight. You know, without the context of volatility, I think you need to have that on the side. Kind of understand what you're looking at as far as width of a trading range. And how, you know, quote-unquote tradable the range itself might be, meaning, is there room to set up continuation trades inside of the range? Or if it's a soft bull or bear channel, that's an entirely different discussion to begin with. But in an actual sideways trading range, if the width of it is tight when you compare it to the ATR, it gets tough. Whether it's a 20-point wide range with a 15 ATR, or 25 ATR, or a 200-point wide range if the ATR is 167. Elevated big dog, how we doing? My man. Okay, 42 seconds out here from the close up. Big bar 30 here on the NQ 5-minute chart. There you go, Bears. All right. So, you know, this Apple trade here, my average is $299.32. So right now I'm 10, depending on the offer, 10, maybe 15 cents in the money. I'm going to give this a little bit longer, and then I may just start to unwind this because there's better opportunity than this. This is moving very slowly, and it's less in play than it was when I entered. You know, by the way, guys, this is a thing for those of you guys who are trading stocks, whether it's your primary approach or if you're doing it on the side of futures. Again, futures, tremendous trading instrument. But there is also, don't just write off stocks, just because, you know, we love futures. But in the stock world, you got to understand, it is a little bit different. You're utilizing more capital. Now, a lot of these day trading focused brokers, they give you free intraday leverage. It's oftentimes 2x, 4x, or 6x. Okay, and they do not charge you margin interest unless, of course, you hold overnight, which is an entirely different risk profile. But they do that so that you trade more shares, or to give you the ability to trade more shares and churn more what? Commissions. Okay, what I just said sounds like another planet to some of you guys, but that's why they do that, and it's a helpful tool. But trading stock, especially if you're trading stock with big position sizes, it's not the most capital efficient thing, not like futures. I mean, you look at futures in a personal account, for those of you guys who are trading personal accounts, it's pretty damn capital efficient. You can get a lot of market exposure for not that much money being held to take the position, right? So in stock, if you enter a trade and it goes out of play, there are, of course, situations where it makes sense to unwind, free up some capital, and use it on a better opportunity. But give Apple a second here and I'll manage it as we go. So, you can see here, Micron earnings here today. The stock already slowing down. This is pretty common. A stock that has earnings, especially a stock like Micron, might be kind of moving in the morning, and then you might see it slow down throughout the rest of the day. You might see a little bit of added volatility into the close. But a lot of times, especially midday on earnings day, you might see a stock like this just kind of chop around. So I'm going to keep an eye on it, but not expecting too much from Micron here. Well, what do we talk about? What do we talk about? This is a big fucking sideways range. I'm telling you guys, maybe 20 minutes ago? How much you want to bet people have blown accounts in this since we talked about it? They didn't listen, and they said, yeah, I do well in sideways ranges. And now their accounts are gone. Anybody? It's the hardest place in the market to trade. It's not even particularly your fault if you didn't perform well in the range. It's just the hardest environment. If you have to play a basketball game, and if you win, someone's going to pay you $100 million. And if you lose everything you've ever worked for in your life. But you get to pick your environment, we'll call it. You get to pick your opponent. Are you going to pick an NBA team in the NBA Finals with that mentality to play? Or are you going to pick a high school or a college intramural team? You get to choose the environment you take your trades in. I'm not saying sit around all day and take, 0 trades 3 days a week, but I am saying be selective. Well, ATR, I gotta tell you, volatility is not really the issue here today, is it? We're sitting at 67.6 on the average true range. The thing is, I think as much as I talk about ATR, I think a lot of people start thinking that it's ATR over everything. That's not particularly true. If ATR dies to 8, it ruins basically all opportunity. That is correct, especially in something like NQ on the 5-minute. But you can have, for example, I'd rather have a 35 ATR with really nice trend price action, of course, right? Then an 80 ATR in a wiki single bar sideways range. It's just there's more opportunity. So Giannis is going to the Heat, huh? You know, I gotta tell you, I don't follow too much. I mean, you know, trading's enough on the brain, I think, isn't it? But, you know, I mean, I'll watch a game here or there, right? At least the NBA and maybe the NFL. Well, I guess I should say the NFL, maybe the NBA. But end of an era, huh? Giannis to the Heat. I went to last NBA game I was at was Jesus. 9 years ago. And we watched Giannis play, and it was the Bradley Center. Back then, it was still the Bradley Center. Can you believe it? It might have been the last year or two that they were there. I forget. But that's crazy. Time flies, man. Built something great and leaves. But you gotta know, if you're looking at that dotted line, and from what I hear, the city hasn't been, I guess the team hasn't been treating you all that well, and Miami's offering you a fat deal, what would you do? All right, we still got NQ in this sideways range here. All right, Apple is less in play now than when I entered the trade. I'm unwinding and getting flat so I can free up that capital because this thing is dead. And what I'm going to do is use that capital to, some of that I should say, to enter a starter on SpaceX, average 158.27, and stop here is going to go 157.07. And by the way, logic behind this trade, we've got a sideways range with a supporting argument for a soft bull channel. We'll see if we can crack higher above through 160, right? And as you get this big bear body followed by this bar and then this one cracking through the wick high here, I can use this to manage risk very easily. Very straightforward idea there on SpaceX for me. Nasdaq, come on, dude! What is this garbage? 31, 32, 33. It's been trashed since bar 21, hasn't it? Goodness. So, next stop here, I guess, next thing on the agenda for NQ. It almost feels like the sideways range is turning into a wedge. Remember ATR, what, 10 minutes ago was 73? It's now down to 61, 62. So that volatility is falling. Now, what you don't see happen, typically, in a situation like this, especially on NQ, is you typically don't see ATR just fall continuously from 73 down to 7. In just a tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter wedge into the close. That typically does not happen. So, we're going to see a break here, chances are, on NQ in the relatively near future. Which direction? It is absolute. I mean, don't kid yourself. 100% 50-50 as far as direction. The good thing is, I don't give a shit which way it goes. I'll trade the price action once it decides to break and gives me a setup. Well, you look over here, Nvidia doing absolutely nothing sideways. AMD, very wicky, sitting almost break even on the day, up 0.17%. Micron, like we talked about, already dying heading into earnings here today. Check back in on Apple, still dead. Likely entering a little bit of a range here on Apple, so we'll head back to NQ because this thing is bound to break here sooner rather than later, and I want to be ready when it does. Hey, man, by the way, if you haven't yet, I appreciate you hitting like on the stream. Helps out tremendously. Or dislike, big dog, whatever you gotta do. We can handle it. Hit a button. How's that? So, big old range, right? Turning into likely this little wedge, which is a good thing, actually, because we wanted away from this range anyway. This is NQ Futures, Nasdaq Futures, 5-minute chart. We wanted away from this, so the quicker we can form a wedge, the quicker this thing gets kind of forced, the volatility sucks down, the pressure builds, and we're able to just kind of break it, pick a direction and go. The other side lays down a little bit sooner. So when a sideways range presents itself as day traders, we're not into that, right? So seeing it form a wedge is actually a good thing. The closer you get to the point, on average, everyone starts to see it, including, you know, institutions and algorithms. It'll typically break quicker, not necessarily harder, but the direction-wise probability remains 50-50. Which is fine. We just wanted away from this because this is killing all opportunity. Taz, Brando, how we doing? Alright, I'll tell you guys what, I'm pulling out the old trick. I'm pulling it out, man. Give me 2 minutes, we'll take a quick break. Somebody make a phone call, please. Don't you go anywhere, be right back. All right, welcome back. Okay, so we've got NQ, bar 36, trying to get something done here. SpaceX, I'm about 50 cents, 60 cents in the money here on this trade. Gonna let that keep working. Average price on that, 158.26 to the long side. Keep an eye on NQ here, see if this thing can try to make a move outside of this big sideways trading range. Just brutal. Turning into a wedge, getting tighter and tighter. The breakout is coming, most likely sooner rather than later. Okay, NQ, bar 37, 445 out, trying to curl. We'll see if we can take out the wick low of bar 28 here. Keeping an eye on that. Micron, again, down 1% here on the day. We've got earnings today. Macy's, can you believe it? 25 bucks a share, up 4.3% on the day. By the way, low volatility over there. Not in play, but interesting to mention. Let's see if the Nasdaq here can really curl, take out the wick lows of bar 24, 28, get beneath there. Maybe we can head down toward low of day. Take a trade on the way to stop hunt the wick low of 11, which is the low of day here on NQ, and then actually stop hunt the wick low of 11. We can dream, can't we? ATR 56, 57. Let's see if we can expand downside here, man. Quickest way to get some better price action? Just let this thing crash off a cliff, NQ. Let's go. There you go. Keep that pushing. Grab another piece here on SpaceX, by the way. All right, 218 out. NQ heading down, looking to hunt the wick low at 28. Now, you got to be real careful here. Again, what have we had? We've had this big range turning into a wedge. This is the attempted breakout out of the wedge. What have we not done yet? Well, we have not broken out of the range yet. About 80% of breakout attempts are going to eventually fail. So for me to get short here on NQ, I'm not going to be premature with this. We're 60 seconds out till the close of bar 37 here on Nasdaq. Again, these are Nasdaq futures, 5-minute chart. Into the open of 38 and keeping an eye on both. All right, 15 seconds here till the rollover of 37. Again, these are Nasdaq futures, baby. Let's watch how 37 closes up. It's going to be inside the wick low of 28. So watching the rollover here on a bar 38. Let's see if 38 can get down lower, give me a nice clean bear close. Down here would be great. Without growing too much back upside, bulls. Look at this, ticker EHTH. Again, that's EHTH, eHealth. Small market cap, 49 million bucks, catching a huge pop. Things gonna get halted, most likely. We'll see. See this? That bear breakout already failing. 80% of breakout attempts in a sideways range will eventually fail. Man, let's hope this is the 20%. All right, we've got SpaceX making a test downside unwinding. I'm going to stop out on SpaceX there. We got a big range, man. If SpaceX wants to curl over, we'll see if we want to head down through 156. And then I'll look at shorting it heading down toward 150, but we're not there yet. So in the meantime here, I'm watching NQ, big bar 38. Beautiful, beautiful! 315 out. It was a good stop on SpaceX. That thing's already heading down toward volume-weighted average price. It's ridiculous. Good cut. All right, 38. I'm watching NQ here. If we can get a nice clean bear close within reason, I'm getting short. 250 out. It's got to be clean, not oversized. Outsized, I should say. Question, do you use scanners to filter the stocks you're watching? If so, what are the criteria you are looking for? Yes, sir. The primary one, we can make this really complicated. There's a lot that goes into it, but you want to know kind of the primary thing I'm looking for in stocks. In my head, the most important thing to look for is something called RVOL. That is relative volume. I don't want to be trading something that is not in play. And what makes a stock in play? Well, a higher than average amount of institutions' money, really, and retail traders also, for small caps in particular, watching it that day and trading it. So, for example, there's different time frames you can use, 30 days, 90 days, it doesn't really matter. But the average volume is going to be the average amount of shares that are traded. Okay, when you see a stock that has 2x, 5x, 25x, 100x for small caps, RVOL, which is relative volume, you know, something's going on. There was a news headline. It's breaking out and getting a lot of trading activity. And that's going to lead to tighter spreads and more opportunity. There's more money at play. And especially when you're dealing with a smaller cap stock as opposed to more of a mega cap, a lot of that money that's up for grabs is going to be retail money. So you get to pick the arena that you're trading in, so to speak. So SpaceX, for example, has been in play since IPO, just because the massive amount of volume it's been doing share-wise. All right. NQ here, 45 seconds out. ATR currently on NQ 61. Range on this current bar about mid to high 80s. Look here, AMD coming back in for a test, volume weighted average price. All right, 20 seconds out here on NQ. Boom, filled. I am sitting short. NQ, average price 29,648 to the short side. Bears took me quickly, 17 points in the money. Let's see if they can sustain that guy. ATR 57. Let's keep that going, Bears. The Bulls trying to wick NQ back up pretty quickly here. Quick dump off down to, we saw 29,622. Let the Bears reload, see if they can take one more run at that low. Oh, goodness. Good. Come on now, Bears. Getting bought up, those Bulls. Stepping ahead of that, I'm not so sure about that. It's volatile here, man. ATR sitting 59. There we go. Keep that pushing. Keep that pushing. Bulls trying to wick us back higher. Stepping ahead of a freight train, Bulls. There you go. Off a cliff, Bears. Do it to him. All right, we got 43 seconds left, by the way, here on bar 39. All right, let's close up at bar 39 into the open of bar 40. Let's see what 40's got. Let's dump that on through, Bears. By the way, SpaceX breaking downside through volume-weighted average price. So we got 3 minutes till that 5-minute bar closes up. Well, come on now, Bears. And Nvidia dumping off here. Down through $200 a share. Low a day here on Nvidia, you've got 198.60. Keep an eye on that. All right, there's the close up bar 40 into the open of 41 here on NQ. By the way, you know, Micron, we have earnings today. This thing is just, it's probably going to die with a little bit of added volatility into the close, but we'll keep an eye on it. And that's Micron, ticker MU. Earnings are today. All right, we got 4 minutes, 23 seconds out till bar 41 closes up here on NQ. Let's see if these bears want to take one more run here down toward that low of the wick. Well, I should say the wick low of bar 40. A little bit of hesitation to do so here. There we go. All right, bears. Roll this thing over. Let's take out that low. Okay, 27 seconds here. Ooh, until 41 closes up. Bar 41 here on NQ. There we go. Keep that pushing. There's the open of bar 42, close of 41. Good. Boom, there we go. 47 points flat there on that NQ short. Whew. Took its time, man. All right, watching 42. Also watching that wick low of 11, which also happens to be the low of day. Back in action, man. We had this big sideways range. Look here, SpaceX cracking the volume weighted average price, just coming right back in for a retest. We might see that thing die off as far as volatility. All right, back here to NQ. I got to keep an eye on 42. All right, guys. Hey, back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. All right. Welcome back. Bar 42, 220 out. Let's see if the bears can take this guy lower, close it up nice and clean. That's a bare body. Two minutes. There we go. 90 seconds out. Let's see. Need this guy to be clean. Let's get a little bit lower, bears. Come on now. By the way, man, look at NVIDIA here. I gotta grab a starter to the short side here on NVIDIA. Average is gonna be 199.24 on that NVIDIA short. Back to NQ, 50 seconds out. All right, 27 seconds here until 42 closes up. Come on, 42. That's some wick, man. Oh, God, I don't like that. All right, 42 is going to wick on back. Bull stepping in last second. That's a very small, well, pretty small bare body with a sizable wick on bottom. So I'm watching 43 now on NQ. About 10 cents in the money on the NVIDIA short. Let that thing keep working. While we watch 43 on NQ. Bull stepping in, trying to bounce things across the board here, just a hair. Okay, 3.5 minutes out here from the close of bar 43. See, there's bulls bouncing this. It makes you start wondering, oh, man, we're not going to... See, I want to stop hunt the wick low of 11. You know? Trying to set myself up to be able to stop hunt that wick low of 11. We got to get a bit lower here. Kind of give me a nice clean sequence closing up right in the slot. And I'll stop hunt that thing all day, every single time. But as the bulls come in, trying to bounce us, take out, the wick high of 42... Makes you start wondering, are we going to just enter another little range here like we saw from bar 21 to 36? I don't even want to say it. Don't even want to say it. That would not be tremendous. By the way, stop here on NVIDIA going out at 199.83. I'm going to use that wick high there, coming in back into 200. I prefer to use this wick high. I prefer to use a price action based stop rather than a price based stop. So now we just let that thing sit. All right, NQ futures. About 60 seconds out. Bulls stepping in, trying to bounce this. Okay, there's the rollover. Bar 43 across the board. By the way, if you're new here, when I say bar numbers, that's the amount of 5-minute bars here since the opening bell. Bears stepping in, trying to take this guy back lower. We're looking at NQ right now. Tom says it's so thin. Yeah, you know, something that we've been seeing a lot lately, especially, you know, kind of across the board, but in NQ, for example, here in the futures, we've been seeing good high volatility. I mean, the ATR at midday like this, that damn ATR is 53, 54. That's really good. But when the order book is thin, you can start seeing some jumpy action, and it's not surprising when that's the case to see wiki price action. Now, thankfully, we got bar 38, caught a good short on bar 38, but like from 21 to 36, it's just to pretend like there's a whole ton of good, you know, high expected value opportunity from here to here. We're kidding ourselves. There's just not. So you sit on your hands, and when it comes, boom, hit it. Bear's actually trying to take this guy back lower. Oh shit, back in the money on the Nvidia short. Just a hair. Let that thing keep working. Low at day on Nvidia, we got 198.60, by the way. Watching in Q, of course, as well. There you go. Look at these bears. ATR 60 on NQ. Range of this bar about 90 points. Nvidia trying to crack down through 199 into the 198.80s. Again, low a day here on Nvidia's 198.60. You might ask Nico, are you stop hunting the low a day on Nvidia? Damn right, I'm stop hunting the low of day on Nvidia. Yeah, damn right. Keep an eye on 198.60 over there. NQ, low a day sitting around 29.525. This, I don't really have much of a sequence, do I? No, I do not. Okay, here we go. Coming in for a low a day test on Nvidia. $198.60. A little bit of hesitation around that low a day. It's not entirely unexpected. Come on, Bears, slip it. I want to see 198.60 slip on the bid. Nothing yet over here. All right, back on NQ. Getting low a day over here is 29.525-ish. bears, you bunch of babies. Bulls, give it up, man. And I got my eyes on the bid here. In level 2 bucks. Watching for that low a day here on NVIDIA, which is 198.60 to slip. Bulls trying to step in ahead of it. Bears being a bunch of babies here, not getting it done. So we'll revisit NVIDIA if we get another test of downside of low of day. I'm trying to stop hunt that thing. Getting word from President Trump, he's saying Iran is making very big concessions. Probably expect more comments here. Alright, Bears. Let's head down for a test. Bulls, let's slip low a day. Man, I want to see low a day slip on NQ and NVIDIA. Again, NQ, we got about 525 for low a day. NVIDIA, we got 198.60. Got close on a test, didn't slip it. Hey, by the way, if you have not yet, I appreciate you hitting like on the stream. It's free. Helps out a whole bunch. Come on, Bears. There you go. Step on it. Alright. Let's see if we can slip low a day. This NVIDIA. Again, I'm sitting short. 198.60 is low of day. You Bears, come on now. We don't have time for this. Jesus, I spend my life waiting for the Bears. Futures coming in for a test. Still, what, 20 points out? Bulls doing everything they can here to defend low of day. Kind of across the board. All right, we got new 5-minute bars here across the board. Bar 46. We got Nvidia trying to bounce back up toward 199. Keep an eye on that. All right. Slip it. There it is. Start covering my shorts. That was not the slip that we're looking for. There we go. There it is. Covering my shorts on the stop punt on Nvidia. I'm flat. I am flat on the stop punt. Beauty of a short on Nvidia. Back to NQ, which is getting down so low it's out of frame. There we go. Bar 46. 3 minutes out from the close. ATR 63. Right. Now, after the stop punt, you got to be real careful. A lot of times this baby will like to reset, especially if it was in a range for a big chunk of the day. Okay, now, I know it's very tempting. Well, we'll see how 46 closes up, but I know it's very tempting to just short it immediately. Again, after the stop hunt, which was the wick low of 11, which I actually, again, used Nvidia to short the stop hunt. I didn't really get a setup here on NQ for the stop hunt. I did short the close of 38, though. After a stop hunt, I don't like to take the first close after a stop hunt because a lot of times what will happen is we'll just bounce right back up into a trading range. And if I'm going to get short, it would be on bar 47 after the first bar to take out the low of day stops, especially in a situation like this where it's a long-lived level like bar 11. So 60 seconds out here until this bar closes up 46 into the 47 open. See that? You see that? We're at 29.5 here on NQ. Bulls wicking it back. We're 10 seconds out from the rollover. Let's see if the bears can give us a nice cleaner close. And then bar 47 becomes real important. All right, there's the open of 47. Keeping an eye on 47 here. There you go, taking out a new low a day there on Nvidia. All right, 47 big bar here. I don't want to see an outsized bar. I don't want to see a big old wick. I want to see a nice, clean, bare body. 3 minutes and 43 seconds. Might as well be an eternity here. Because we got to see this bar hold up basically as is for 3.5 minutes here on NQ. Again, Nasdaq Futures 5-minute chart. See that? Bull stepping in. That's why for me, I'm waiting on the close of this bar here. In a bounce out of Nvidia here as well. That's what can happen. You take out the low a day after the stock or the contract futures, right, has been trading in a range like all day. A lot of times after you take out the stops low a day, the bears kind of look around and they're like, well, shit, I guess I should probably cover, huh? And then you get a bit of a bounce back into the trading range, which is why I'm waiting for 47 to close up here to see if I can get short. All right, 90 seconds out here. Not too bad thus far, bears. Okay, 60 seconds out until 47 closes up. Come on, bears, hold it. Hold it, hold it. Don't let those bulls bully us around and step it. 25 seconds. I better get ready. All right, let's see if the bears want to take out the low, and they will. I'm short NQ. Stop here at 496 1/4. Bears put me in the money quickly. The bull's trying to bounce this thing now. All right, Bears, let's step in, keep rolling this baby over. There you go, Bears. ATR 61. Fall through. Keep doing that. Good, good. Getting real close. Minute at 29.4. There we go. Do it, Bears. Fall through. Well, the Bears barely took that out, so my stop is now at 466. Getting moved even tighter, looking for the Bears to fall through the wick low of 48. ATR now 59, falling on the ATR. Bulls trying to bounce this thing. Well, the bears had me within. I saw it within 3 points flash. Let's see if they want to take profit. Let's see if they want to roll this guy over and take one more run at it. They got damn close. There you go. Boom! 50 points on the trade. Damn. Not too bad, Bears. Good. Covered. Flat. Good short on NQ. And NVIDIA heading lower too. Whole market. Can you believe it? All right, S&P's down 0.26%. Nasdaq down 0.87%. Oil down 4.28%. Gold now down 3%. Whole market here is kind of rolled over. Amazon was up quite a bit more, now just up 2.1%. All right, guys. Well, hey, I tell you what, I appreciate you joining me for the show here today. I will see you guys back here tomorrow, man. Stay patient. You got to let it come to you. See this? This whole trading range here. Bunch of hands sitting. And then a whole bunch of opportunity through here. Tremendous. All right, guys. Hang in there. Hit like on the way out. I appreciate you doing so. I'll see you tomorrow.